At first, I just kind of sat down and started making a list. Like, I knew, you know, some of the ones that are more common that I tell, so I knew those, like, by heart verbatim. But what I did was I wrote the book chronologically.
Okay.
Like, you know, the reader won't really feel it chronologically, but to me, I know the order. The book starts with, you know, the phone call I got in 2004, back to how I went back in 2006.
Right.
So when I started telling it in that chronological order, that helped jog my memories of things. I do have a couple of friends who were around me at that time who also reminded me of stories I had forgotten.
Okay, gotcha. And so tell me, how many pictures are in total in the book?
Around 120.
120, and you said about how many stories?
80 pages. I think that's about 30 or 40 stories.
30 to 40.
I don't keep them long. The longest story is probably 2 to 3 pages.
Okay, gotcha. Okay, cool.
So how did you narrow down the pictures you used for the book? Because I think you said you picked 120 out of roughly 1,200?
Yeah.
So how'd you narrow it down? How'd you pick 10% of all the pictures you took for the book?
Well, a lot of pictures were taken like run and gun, so eliminating some that just weren't that great. I got rid of those, obviously. And in 04 and 06, I wanted to kind of keep some of the bad-looking days out of there.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Sure.
You know, again, like, it's just not the light I would like to present him in.
Right.
So I got rid of all of that. And then it just came down to variety. And part of me, like, when I look at the studio, I tried to look at it from, like, a fan's perspective, too. So close-ups of the walls, the guitars that are hanging, the board, the levels, Al's kit, like all the little details. Like if you walked into 5150 and you started walking around, what would you look at?
Mm-hmm. Okay. All right, cool.
Cool. Was anything off limits when you were taking pictures?
No.
Okay, cool. And so tell me, in terms of the stories, you said you started in 2004. That's obviously when they first reunited with Sam. So is that included in the book?
Oh, yeah, that's in there.
Okay. All right, so you're talking about Sam's return to 5150 and the short-lived reunion with him up into the setup for the reunion with Roth, right?
Yeah, I mean, I talked about being there in 04 and the vibe that was there when Sammy was there and how they got along and not got along. So, yeah, that was an odd time. So I talked about that time and, you know, kind of what was going through Ed's mind and what he was talking about.
Mm-hmm.
And then, going back in 06.
Do you think that Sammy at the time realized what the situation was when he was reuniting? Was it pretty obvious, like, what was going on to everyone?
Oh, I think he knew what he was walking into.
Okay.
Sam was very zen.
Yeah.
He was able to kind of go up there and sit on his stool and do his vocals.
Uh-huh.
You know, every now and then Ed would have words, but Sam would just kind of like smile and shake his head.
Right. Okay. Gotcha.
Brush it all off.
You think Sam was trying to, you know, kind of stick it out and do whatever he had to do to reunite with the band?
Well, that, and I think that there's just like a genuine love that he has for Ed.
Right. Sure. Of course.
Ed. He knows Ed's personality. He's known him for so long.
Yeah.
And,
right. Gotcha.
You know, I mean, Ed can be in a bad mood and be yelling at you, and you can still love him.
Right. Sure. So now, was Michael Anthony involved in the book at all, or was he really not involved?
No, I mean, I mentioned kind of what Ed told me about Michael Anthony.
Okay.
He's not there. That's about it.
Okay.
Mike didn't come up there. In 04, Ed played the bass on those tracks.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah. If you look at Andrew also, as we should mention, was the director of the video for It's About Time, which is an excellent Van Halen video. It's available on YouTube right now, and it's in black and white, and it's really well done. It shows the band recording the song at 5150 with the producer who was there, Glenn Ballard, and you kind of see him. In those shots, Ed is playing the bass.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
And I can tell you that Ed definitely had opinions on Mike and figured he would rather play the bass in the studio than have Mike there.
Okay. And what was his vibe on...
Apparently it's been like that for a very long time.
Yeah, apparently. We've been learning
and
about
how
that.
was Glenn working with them?
Yeah.
Glenn's cool because Glenn has this super zen, and you know, I mean, I don't know if we all had $400 million, maybe we'd all be that laid back and chill.
Yeah.
But he's super laid back and chill. And I've been in the studio with Glenn with an Italian singer named Elisa, and I've been there with him and Katy Perry and a couple of other bands. So I've been in a lot of studios with Glenn, and he's always the same way. Laid back in his chair, just listening, drinking his red wine. He dealt well with Eddie in 2004.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
You know, well, Ed had a lot of nights where he was fired up and, you know, this and that. And I think there's actually a picture in the book where you can see Ed, you know, Ed's kind of like fired up about something, and he's standing in the kitchen. He's holding a bass, actually.
Wow. Okay.
And you can see him, Glenn just kind of like has his hands up like he's trying to calm him down.
Right. Well, it's interesting. In your video, you can tell, number one, Ed is, first of all, he looked really jacked. He's in really like, he was all cut, and he shaved the sides of his head, but he still had long hair. So how would you describe that whole vibe he had going on?
I think we called it the samurai ponytail or something.
Okay, right.
Nicknamed at one point.
Right, when he puts it up, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, at that point in 2004, he seemed like a man on a mission.
Okay. Oh, he was driven.
You know, he was driven, and Glenn Ballard's a good guy to team up with if you're in that mode, because Glenn Ballard will sit in that studio for 18 hours a day.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
So he'll be there.
Well, he's a very hands-on producer. He's not one of those producers that comes in and out. Like, he's very much in the tank with the artist, and he's known to be like that. So did Ed listen to Glenn? Would he take instruction?
Oh, absolutely.
Oh, cool.
They had a great vibe.
Oh, wow.
You know, Glenn knows how to adapt to the artist.
Okay.
He's not changing himself, he's not changing how he produces, but he knows how to adapt to the artist's vibe and personality.
Right. Okay.
He's really good at that.
That's smart. That's very smart. Absolutely. And in terms of the title, Eruption in the Canyon, explain that title, why you decided on it, and what it means.
So I tossed, obviously, you know, like anybody writing a book, you toss around 50 different ideas for a title. And I ended up on that because, I don't know if this sounds cheesy. It just kind of came to me. But 5150 and Ed's house are kind of embedded in this canyon, called Coldwater Canyon in LA.
Right.
And it's really like embedded in there. You know,
right.
You don't see anything. And I always thought, like, I wonder if people know what's coming out of this canyon now.
Oh, right.
Like when you're driving by and you're just stuck in traffic, you realize what's happening to the left of you behind those gates and in that canyon.
Wow.
That's just what I thought of. Here's this little canyon, this little nook in the middle of Los Angeles. Pouring out of that is Eddie Van Halen every day shredding guitar.
Wow. Yeah. And you said it's very private, right?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So it's not,
and he's on a lot of visitors.
And he's like on a hill, right?
Yeah. It's the middle of a canyon. So it's like
gotcha.
In the middle of a hill.
Gotcha. And in terms of the photos, are the photos mainly have all the band members in them? Are they action shots? Are they posed? Or is there a lot of equipment shots? Like, how would you?
There's a lot of
Yeah.
Sorry.
How would you describe the photos?
There's a lot of equipment shots, guitars hanging on the walls, Al's kit, shots of Al, you know, smiling, you know, or like in between songs, or Al just banging the hell out of some drums.
Right.
Nothing posed. I think the closest to posed I ever got was, and this is in the book, and I would love this picture. It's Alex closest to me, then Wolfgang, then Eddie, and they're all leaning over the board, like listening to a song.
Wow. Okay.
And Alex just happens to turn his head to me and smile.
Okay.
And behind him, you see Eddie like talking to Wolf, hunched over the board.
Right.
So that would be the closest to a posed picture I ever got.
Right.
What's your favorite picture in the book?
It's got to be this one where Ed is just kind of like looking down the board inside 5150, so you see everything on the walls, you see the controls, and it's just Ed with this profile with, I think it's the 5150 guitar with Frankenstein hanging on the wall.
Right.
And he's just profiled like he's in the middle of something. They've got the cigarette dangling out of his mouth, and he still has like the long brown hair.
Wow.
Like 06.
Okay.
It's just this cool profile shot. Like the man just looks like he's at home.
And what did you choose for the cover?
For the cover, it's just the back of some amps in the big 5150 room and some cables, and you can kind of see the three guys in the background.
Okay, gotcha.
I kept it artsy and vague.
Gotcha. And are the shots black and white? Are they color? Are they sepia tone? How would you describe it?
They're all just color. There's a couple of black and whites, but they're all just color. They're all shot, like on a high-res DSLR camera.
Right.
We didn't have iPhones back then.
Right.
I'm getting up there in the years, man. I'm starting to use terms like back then.
That's right.
Well, my 40th birthday was yesterday.
Oh, wow. Happy birthday, man.
Happy belated birthday.
Yeah. You're a young man in comparison to Dave and I. We're about to turn the other birthday that no one likes to talk about.
Right. Yeah, the other one. Right. The other one.
I kept all the photos, just true to life, man. There's just, they're shot. They've been, maybe adjusted a little bit in the color levels, but, I didn't want to, make things, put filters on things or make them look any different than it looks if you're standing in the studio.
Now,
so they're realistic.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
No filters, no, special ideas, nothing like that, man. Just straight up. If you were standing in 5150, there's the Frankenstrat on the floor.
Okay.
Awesome.
So so people will get, if they get the book, read the book, look through the book, they will get a whole feel of what it looks like and the vibe for the whole 5150 studio.
Oh, absolutely, man. You hit the nail on the head again.
Okay.
That's exactly what I was going for, man. Like, nothing over the top, no crazy stories. Like, everybody knows 04 and everybody knows 06.
Right.
Let me just get this out of the way.
Sure.
Let me just get this out of the way. I do not talk about drinking. I do not talk about anything else.
Right.
I do not talk about women.
Right.
None of that bullshit.
Right.
None of it. Everything I talk about is life in that studio and around that property.
What about, like, music, like, in terms of what they were working on or the actual songs? Do you get into the music?
Yeah, I mean, they ran the same set lists most of the time.
Right, that's in 06, right?
06 and 07.
Okay, right.
But, there's photographs where you see, like, that day's set list on the dry erase board leaning against an amp or, taped to the board.
Right.
Oh, so you can read the set list in the picture?
Oh, yeah. I think there's a few set list pictures.
Okay,
cool.
I can't guarantee it. They're definitely in there. Yeah, man. There's and it's funny because I've seen so many set lists like on stages and here and there, and they're always printed out. And leave it to Eddie Van Halen that they're not printed out, man.
Right.
It's just written on a scrap of paper.
Right. What about Wolfie? Do you capture him in 04 when he was like a kid, like a little kid?
I didn't know him in 04. I never met him.
Oh, you never saw him in 04. Okay.
No.
Gotcha.
I mentioned him in 06. I mentioned him to the extent of, like, how he became the bass player in Van Halen. And a couple of other things, but, like, he was an amazing kid, man. But I just thought of that, how amazing he was, like, what happened to Eddie the second Wolfgang started playing bass. It was just this whole new light in Ed's face.
Right.
And, and watching a 15-year-old kid learn the entire Van Halen catalog.
Yeah,
in the summer.
Of course.
Say, when I was a teenager, I couldn't keep a summer job. This kid joined Van Halen.
All right. Now, do you have any pictures of Dave or any full band rehearsals in the book?
No, Dave only came a couple of times, and he didn't really know me when he come up the first couple of times. So no photos allowed on those days.
Okay.
Okay.
But when I shot this, I did shoot this thing for Dave. I don't know if we talked about it when we spoke last. This thing that was the opening for Everybody Wants Some.
Okay.
Oh, yeah. I think you did mention that a little bit.
Reiterate that, though. Talk about that.
As far as photos go, since we shot that on 35mm film, I was able to take still images from that.
Okay.
There are pictures of David Lee Roth in a kimono with swords and flags in the book.
Wow. Okay, that's cool. And in terms of Sam, are there photos of Sam with the band as well, or?
Yeah, there's photos of Sam when he's up at the studio in 04.
Okay, cool. Excellent. Is there anything outside of 5150, like the grounds and stuff, or is it all contained within the studio?
Oh, no, you can see the grounds. You see, like, where everybody parks. You see some of Ed's cars.
Okay.
You see I want to say it's a Ford Fairlane he bought.
Okay.
And when I asked about the license plates that said "She's Mad," Ed said, Oh, that's simple. Valerie was not happy when I bought that car.
So he named the license plate
So
Cheese
he-
Man?
So we named it Cheese